The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roll to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show, live from the Villages in Pflugerville. I am, as usual, Barnzy, joined by the inimitable Stuart Williams. How are you today, Beef Stew?
Pretty good mood, yeah. It's been a good week. Major Maria strikes again. Yeah. I don't think I've ever come across anybody who seems like they are so motivated by the big events and so not really motivated at all by the other events. We were actually giggling when I called her yesterday, me and Nathan and her, that she's like the Brooks Koepka of bowling. And I said, but the irony is now the majors in golf are the ones that pay less for Brooks Koepka.
In that odd world, yeah.
With him being on the live thing. But yeah. So we're coming in fast for this show. I had no intention of dealing with any of this, but well, whatever. 2 new ball announcements. Yes, there was. Adam firing in early. Morning, Adam. Is the Eternity Pie going to replace the Reality? I really hope not. I just see it as being another tool. So
the Reality is nearing, phase 2 type status as far as it's just been a really good ball for a lot of people. So I don't know that it's a ball you work around and complement more than you replace at the moment. That's kind of how I see it so far. And I haven't thrown it yet, but.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. But I see it as being fingers crossed anyway, just another option rather than a replacement. Hey, Cully, I'll see you. I'll see you on Saturday. Are you bowling? The Old Man tournament? Morning, Joe. Yep. Congrats to Maria. Yeah.
Peanut sauce.
Yep. Shark fresh. First game on Shark on Tuesday night. Tina backed one in there for 300. Very impressive. Yep, they're the balls that everybody wants to buy. I mean, just to put it in simple terms.
The next big hooker.
What's special about the Eternity Pie compared to the original Eternity? It's just it's a solid cover, dull ball.
A lot stronger. Raw.
Same core, just way more cover. So.
Work around and compliment like a mother-in-law. Well, depends on the mother-in-law. Hope Reality and Zen become the phase 2 in High Road Pro for 900. Hard to discontinue those. This gold label looks good. Looks early on. Yeah, I mean, so far we haven't seen anything that's in the reality range that seems to keep coming out on top of new introductions.
No, the reality and the gem have kind of settled in, haven't they?
Yeah.
They kind of don't really overlap that much. They've got 2 fairly distinct shapes, and the people who like the gem kind of use that when they do, and then often change into the reality when they want to move a little further left. I kind of make the reality work for both jobs. So yeah, I'll be kind of upset if we lose realities, but I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so. How does 701 compare to old S70? I believe 701 is a little stronger than S70. maybe quite a bit stronger than S70. S70 is normally reserved for the
That's
middle.
burners, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the burners and some more entry level, mid entry level.
I would think that
more times than not.
I was about to say, I would think that 701, like logically, would compare somewhat to whatever covers on the IQ Tour. Would be logically, that would be where I would see it.
701 is that's what's on Exponent, and that's
Yes.
certainly stronger than burners. So
yeah,
I can't say for sure what the exact equivalent it is, but it's not S70 in my estimation. I would say it's a little stronger than that.
Adam says he's probably going to get an Eternity
Oh.
High instead of a gem. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the new ball is always better. It looks like the lock, by the way. For everybody who wants to know what that one looks like, it looks just like the lock.
Oh, yeah, color wise, yeah.
Yeah, it's uncannily similar. Chris Martin, thanks for the super chat. He says, "Morning, guys. Ready to hear some bull crap while I'm driving for work? Lol. Well, you've come to the right place."
When I first saw that, I thought it said Boy, like Justin Boy. I read
that. So being as Chris won't do it, I'll be the fanboy and swing from his nuts. Chris is currently averaging 17 pins a game more than everybody else at the senior stop, and none of it really matters except being ahead of 16th place, right? I mean, realistically, you get a buy. Is it top 8 that get a buy?
Top 8 get a buy.
Top 8.
The one advantage you have is if you win both your matches out of the top 8 and qualify for the top 4, seating on the step ladder is based off qualifying position.
Yes.
So that
helps, but
it does help. If you win one match, you're guaranteed on the show.
We got it the wrong way around. David has helped us out here. S70 is the same. That's the Dark Moss. 62 was the burners. He's correct. I remember now. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up in all that. I mean, cover sucks.
Just a second. So 8th place, which is where you get the buy, is currently averaging 225. Chris is averaging 248. That's a lot.
That's the Western lot cheetah. It's actually the Ballard, but this is what's the ball? I use reality a lot, and then yesterday I used the gem a lot. It's old school cheetah strategy. Big balls, get them to roll early into it. It takes the gutter ball out of play, throwing them at the gutter pretty quickly and rolling it off of them, controlling the back end with more and less rotation, and so it's been fun so far. Tonight's C squad, so you're kind of chasing the mess. It's to be honest, it's kind of a ridiculous format considering the finals format is all fresh matches and all that. There's not much need to have a 3 squad no re-oil because most of your score is going to come from something that you're never going to see.
I mean, the good news for you is you bowled fairly well on the fresh yesterday.
Yeah, that was the part I was most concerned about.
This squad is not bowling very well on the fresh. So just moving down, because it's pretty easy to see on the results right now who's bowling right now. So Parker has 180, 180, 20. Hess has 230, 150, 170. Chuck Ritchie has 210, 160, 240. DC Knight has 59, 259, 170, 190. Angelo has 220, 190, 190. Michael Zarnik has 180, 180, 250. So it's not like there's anybody who's
it's all on bull.com right now. My thought is if the scores are like that maybe the gutter is a little bit less bouncy.
Yeah. I mean, there almost isn't anybody bowling well. Amleto's gone 230, 160, 240.
And there is a ton of keratin. There's a lot of volume, and the pairs with urethane versus not urethane the first couple games is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually kind of wild. There isn't really anybody. There's nobody who's got 3 200s.
So, that's wild.
Andrew Rettig.
Yeah, lefty. Those are good.
Yeah, 180, 180, 150.
And Parker struggled too to start. So
Dave Johnson, 150, 180, 180. All these people were in the number before the squad started. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's on Bowl TV right now, but one of two things happen. One, either the gutter's not hooking very much at all today, or it's hooking way more. And so the wet dry, because it starts at about 10 feet down the lane, so you really can't stand on top of it. It's almost impossible to stand on top of it because it hits it early, it just goes left immediately.
Right. Couple of things. Chris likes to think of this as the Kansas City Chiefs shirt.
Yeah, but I get it. If you're from Arizona, that you need to hang on to something.
Arizona's a little darker red, I think.
Yeah, a little more maroon, but close enough.
Stephen Hawk, how's it going? He says, question, ladies had a tie the other night. They had one ball roll off high count wins. That's kind of what we do also.
Yeah.
The only time that the 9th and 10th roll offs come in is when we have this race to 2 nonsense that we tend to lean towards at the minute. So yeah, that's been kind of the standard for quite a while, I think, the one ball. Yeah. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to Rich Amy and his staff down in Iowa. They did a great job. Rich is the proprietor, the owner, and also an Eagle winner. So kind of knows what it takes to what high level bowlers want. So yeah, it was, like I say, it was nice to see the ladies. They bowled on a slightly higher scoring. Shot making was important, but it wasn't like, if they missed by the thickness of a cigarette packet, thickness of a cigarette bud, that they were dead. It was good. It was a good show. Came out the gate 268 tie. Aaron McCarthy and Verity. So yeah, there was some pretty good bowling. I was happy to see Maria come out on top. Obviously, we had the cheer section going on. All of her nieces and her sister and all of their friends were down at the bowling center. So it was pretty good fun. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, an interesting finish to the season. Jordan Richard wrapped up Player of the Year. Maria ended up winning the category that I think most people want to win, which is the finances. Yeah, it was, like I say, I think it was a good way for the PWBA season to round off, having some higher scoring events, showcasing the players, and not watching them look like they want to pull their hair out every other shot. So,
yeah. Casey says Stormlock needs to make a comeback. Well, this Eternity Pie may get in that category.
It's stronger than that one, but it does look like it.
Aesthetically, at least. Coming in hot, Daniel. Yeah. Yes, the last few days have been much better than 116. I also had a 263 clean this week. So there's first coming at it from everywhere right now.
I think Chris could bowl several 116s and he'd still be okay this week.
Didn't know.
You just gotta.
He's only 40 back a game.
Is he that close?
Well, he rallied yesterday. He bowled good. Okay,
all right. Because I was about to say for a while he wasn't.
I actually, it may not be that close. I'm not sure. But he's 130 over. He's doing all right.
Oh, I just searched the results for Don and I couldn't find him.
The Don.
Whoops.
Dylan wants to know how the 3Gs are working out so far. Mine are still en route, so I have not had them yet.
Oh yeah, he's 39.8 a game behind you. So mine are working out real nice. I like them.
Do you like them? What's different about them than the you wore the tuxedo ones before, right? The black and white.
They're like a they're a little wider. I think that they're a little more like a soft shoe rather than a than a
Like
kind of a
stiff.
bowling shoe.
Okay.
The soles, big difference for me. They're full soles, not the little thing around the edge, which for me made it a pain in the ass to cut the soles to get them the right size because you just missed a little bit and you couldn't get it in, and then you cut too much off, and then there was a gap, and
Depending
that
on where your
wasn't
OCD lies, that's
well.
troublesome.
Also, you also got the crap in between, on the
Yeah.
Velcro, so that was
Uh-huh.
kind of a pain. The heels got rid of the triangle that a lot of people ended up cutting off anyway. They have some different materials for the heels. They've actually got quite a few heels, to be honest.
Yeah,
You
actually, I
get
finally saw
three.
them on the site. It looks like well overdue for an upgrade there. So looking forward.
I was gonna quickly go through that. There's three heels that come with it. You don't get a material heel, like the red heel that people use.
Yeah,
But they do have like two different flat rubber ones and then a shark heel type scenario.
yeah.
But looking from what Steve sent me, I think they've got some other heels also, and then obviously a bunch of different soles. So they haven't actually arrived yet because I actually asked Steve if he could, send some to me because we were going to do sort of like put a bit of a review together of what we
Hmm.
saw and what was the options were. But you get, I think you get two soles, both of which are fairly slippy. So anyway, if you want to transfer your like Dexter soles or whatever over to them, it's going to be a little easier now because, like I say, you don't have to make them like really small. I wish I'd known they were going to do this because I took some of my older tonic soles that I had and I cut them down small, and now they look a little silly.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. So
back
they're
onto
good.
the balls.
Real quick, Mike. No, urethane's not being banned, but they are going to make it 78 hardness for the national tour, regional tours, PBA50 and PBA Junior. So they're in the works. My understanding is prototypes of being some early ones have already been introduced by both, or not introduced, but they're in testing right now. So I would imagine by November there will be some balls out. That hey Terry,
Sorry, Terry. We saw. I just didn't get to this. I'm sorry. He has Gem Reality, Zen Master, Zen, Hustle Camo, Hustle USA, Purple Hammer, and Spare Ball. What ball would be next? 275 RPMs, 13 and a half on the screen. Something to fill the gigantic hole between the Zen and the Hustles.
yeah,
That's a fairly huge hole. An IQ Ruby would fit in that gap. A Revenant would fit in that gap. To some extent, a Shiny Exponent would fit in that gap. There are quite a few balls you could get, but that's the gap you've got to attach, attack, so to speak, between the Zen and the Hustle Camo and the Hustle USA.
yeah. Camo and USA are probably a little closer than they need to be.
Yeah.
If I was to take one in and take one out, that's where I wowould put one of the balls. Stu's suggesting a cleaner ball that flares. This new virtual gravity looks like it's going to fit perhaps in that zone as well.
Yeah, depending on how much you like asymmetrical balls, for
True.
sure. I think that one might be a little strong, really. I think it'd be a little closer to the Zen. I think the Absolute would fit better. It's going to be there's the new virtual energy blackout.
Virtual energy. Sorry, I haven't even seen it yet. So.
It looks fantastic. Like when you've got it in your hands. She's a banger. I'm just telling you. I'm very excited about this one. But yeah, thanks, Terry. Appreciate the super chat. But yeah, that's definitely the area you've got to look at. Zen to Hustle Camo, because you've got a strong cover, and you've got a strong weight block there, like lots of flare, and then you go down to balls that have kind of weaker covers, but like have almost no flare. So that's why you
have a bridge in there that you can cover for sure. That'll help you out.
It doesn't. Yes, it feels like it, but it's not even close to the infinite physics. It's like a slightly more rounded dart code. It feels like it's fairly clean, but she's got some giddy up down the lane. So we have to be a little careful. We're not really, I guess we're allowed to talk about it, but we're not really allowed to. I can't show you any video of it until September 1. But yes, I think I'm going to use this one quite a bit. I will definitely have more opportunities to use this ball than I will the Eternity Pie, just because the Eternity Pie is so strong. This is going to be a ball that I'm hoping is going to complement the Absolute, give me a slightly different shape. It's a bit stronger than the Absolute, and it also seems like it's a little bit more down the lane as well. If that's
good combo.
But yeah, I'm not trying to make it sound like a picks up early is smooth with a really strong back end. I'm not trying to give you that one.
No, it's just a little stronger ball overall, stronger cover. So it's better for a little more oil that still makes the corner. So
this
you
is
go pin in the palm. It used to be called, well, it's called a lot of things. We pin in the palm with a hole at 45 degrees. What are the advantages and how does it roll? Well, you can't put the hole in anymore. So the pin down, it basically blends out ball reaction. It got used a lot more before urethane became kind of the go-to in this slot of opening up the front half of the lane and then controlling the back. And that's kind of what it does. I've done it in a ball here not so long ago, one asymmetrical, which it probably does a better job of replicating. And then I did it in an exponent, and I actually used it in Jackson a little bit to kind of do that same thing, keep the ball in front of me a little bit from left, and open up the front lane a little bit. But that's what it does. It opens up the front half of the lane and then rolls heavy in the back half. And it'll either flat 10 really quickly and you'll know it's no good, or you'll get the deflection off hits and then the flush ones are still good. And that's when it's good.
Or it'll do what it does for me, which is hit all the holes.
yeah. If you track super close to the fingers, it's not the drill for you. The pin down will just pull it. It'll just pull your track right through the middle of it.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Adam, do I think the virtual energy will be a great replacement for the dart code? Yes, but the dart code definitely gets a little more forward. I feel like from what I practiced with it yesterday, because I drilled it yesterday and I threw it for probably 45 minutes. The virtual energy is definitely more rounded. I felt like I could do more things with my hand than I could with the dart code. When I really went up the back of the dart code and really got it started, it tended to hook stop. The energy didn't do that as much. So the weight block is probably a little bit more rounded.
Let's see. Sorry, he hurt his back. I don't know how, but he showed up last night and he was gimpy for sure. And he made it through 4 games. It was definitely his back. He had plenty of score. All he had to do is pretty much finish, and he was going to still be in the top 24 and have some time to try and recoup. But it was he made 4 games and stopped. It looked pretty painful, even on strikes. So it wasn't that. It wasn't a score-based WD, is what I'm trying to say. More questions?
Okay. Ron. Currently have Zen, Altered Reality, and Fate in a Get a Gear Summer League and looking at either Reality Check, Supernova, or X3. Any thoughts? Yes, we can still get these balls from the league. And it said we get to pick 2. Yeah, we get to pick 2. From those balls, even though they're not my brand, I would take the reality check, and the supernova. I
Same.
think the reality check is the best of those three balls. And I think that the supernova is the furthest away from the reality check.
Yeah, it's a ball you don't have right now. It's slower. And
Yeah.
the X3 and the supernova are kind of in the same category.
Yeah, for me, the supernova was quite a bit earlier than the X3.
Okay.
Cover-wise. I didn't particularly care that much for the supernova or the X3. But like I say, the reality check is the crown jewel of those three. So
yeah, and supernova, if you bowl on a hooking, if you mostly book on hooking conditions, you can shine that supernova and get a clean, smoother reaction out of that, which sometimes works on the house shots.
Cameron, hey guys, I'm currently using Eternity, Zen, IQ Tour, and Spare Ball. Would a reality be a good addition to the bag? Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you struggle to get your ball to pick up enough. If you bowl on some oil, that it's going to be earlier then.
Yeah. Michael says, Stu, so true. I'm cutting the soles. My wife is a teacher and I made her cut it for me. That's funny.
Yikes. Bear's tough. It's one of the toughest patterns you bowl on.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's Mo Day here at the Villages. So, all right.
Yeah, it's that Chris, that's a tough one. In general, the thing that most people do on bear is they create some angle to create hold. So with lower rev rates, you're going to have to look at balls that are going to find something that you can play a little bit around the track and like create some hold. So you just got to pick whether you're going to have a miss to the right or a miss to the left, because you won't have both.
Yeah.
So that would be my best full league, clone, or Eternity Pie. Not enough data to know one way or the other. For you, Peter, probably the clone, because I think the Eternity Pie might end up being too strong most of the time. Ryan, from what I've seen, the blackout is quite a bit cleaner than the clone. The clone's pretty the clone for a shiny ball is pretty early for me.
Yeah, we're talking about, or at least I'm looking at breaking the surface a little bit and letting it kind of be what it is, which is a pretty strong ball with a pretty strong cover, core and cover, and just going and taking some of that shine off and letting it be a big rounded ball. So,
talking of big, here's the small to the big. He's a big deal in a small package. Hello, Mr. Eddie. How are we doing?
See you Saturday. So, again, he's having a big tournament on Saturday at 5,000 added money. I believe a 5-game qualifier off the top of my head. Make some cuts, some buys, some brackets. But a lot of money for an amateur tournament.
I was about to say some 300s because it's that ball and something. It's what we do.
I hope so. So.
The exponent's not getting enough love. Everyone drill an exponent. Yeah, well, you sound like my wife. My wife's like, when are you getting me one of those? I don't know you necessarily need one. Well, everybody's striking with one. I want one of those. Okay. So she bowled 300 on Tuesday. So we'll say it again. 300 on Tuesday. Reality. It's the nuts for her. She didn't like it in 15. 14, she can catch it a little more. Suddenly opened up a whole new world. She
Control with hit.
Yeah.
So, Stu, can you speak on the layout choice in your recent Tour Dynamics video? A more angular layout than I would have expected on that ball.
All right. Well, we keep it 100 on this show, don't we? So I drilled the first one with kind of a normal layout, and I absolutely hated it. So I kind of drilled it like I drill IQ tours, and it was kind of no man's land. for me anyway. Like it hooked too much when I was going straighter, and when I went away from it, it kind of burnt up and then didn't have enough down the lane to come back. So I asked Sean Ryan for a layout, and Sean went with that one. So the higher pin was more about trying to add a little bit of flare back in, and then we did the much weaker mass bias to try and round the shape off a little bit. So that was kind of the thinking behind it. It worked because now it's a very useful piece early on in the block, staying kind of straighter, closer to the friction. Definitely that ball for me anyway. Friction is its friend, especially down the lane. It's going to blend the friction more than it's going to cut through the oil, so to speak. Once the lane transitions a little bit, or there's a little more carry down for me in that sort of like ballpark, so to speak, the exponent is a much better fit because it flares quite a bit more. So it's got more guts to get, through the carry down the lane or through the tightness in the pattern. But if you've got
a little cleaner than a phase 2 or Zen,
yeah,
but flares more than IQ Tour and
exactly. I think it bridges the gap pretty nicely between a phase 2 and an IQ Tour.
Yeah, it's been a nice fit. Yeah, the dynamics may get a little look tonight too for me on that 36-footer on the C, as some, because I don't think I'm going to be able to throw the giant, gem or reality. So we're going to give a look and see if it'll roll through some of that carry down, so we'll get an idea. There's less urethane on this tour, obviously, than the other tour.
Yeah, when we say cleaner, we mean it gets through the fronts better.
Yeah.
Well, I answered that one. It says where would the exponent fit? Right between kind of phase 2 and IQ Tour. The Aggie bowling at Fiesta. Any tips? Thinking DNA and or Summit. Eternity, phase 5, High Road, TNT, or phase 2, slightly rev dominant. So do we have all of these, or like I'm a little confused? If we're saying DNA and or Summit, if you're bowling on the house shot, I think the DNA is probably going to be better. I think that for most people, the asymmetrical balls up there work a little better on the house shot. I think the Eternity might be a little. I think that ball might be a little bit of no man's land on that pattern there. I think on the fresh, I think it might be a little bit too under over. Phase 5, yeah, okay, High Road, and then it says TNT or phase 2. For us, the me and Chris show, there isn't really a TNT or a phase 2. It's just the phase 2. There isn't really a time when the TNT is an option. It's not one of the channel favorites.
No.
So yeah.
Especially when you have a Summit that you could use in that slot fairly easily if you wanted to have some surface on it.
Yeah, I think it's more a TNT or a Summit rather than a TNT or a phase 2. I think phase 2 is one of those balls that's pretty much always in the bag. I don't think there's really a replacement for the phase 2. It's always a good one to carry. So Eli Jones, welcome back. Hey guys, I'm wondering what was the most leagues you'll have bowled in a season? I'm bowling 5 this year. God damn. Any tips on bowling multiple nights back to back to back to back to back? Well,
you mean early and late, or you mean just multiple days?
Yeah. So clarify that.
There are these days.
Oh God, look at this dickhead.
Let's go.
So we've got another question coming up in a second. The most leagues I've bowled is 2. I used to bowl Mondays and Thursdays in Phoenix, and now I bowl Mondays and Tuesdays up here. For me, I enjoy bowling league, so it's not that big a deal. I wouldn't enjoy it bowling 5 nights a week. But for back to back, I think if you start, I think that, is it in the same house? Because that would be a little rough. If you're bowling night after night after night in the same house. If you want to keep it fresh, try and use like maybe try and use different balls in each league.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a great way to learn how your equipment really works. Have sets together, intermingle different balls off each other. Have a core one that you know you use every night, and then work some different pieces around it. Learn your arsenal more.
Or maybe just use even like as simple as use like the strong balls on a Monday and the weak balls on a Tuesday. And you can see and you can compare and contrast which way is the best, after like 5 or 6 after 5 or 6 weeks, you can see which is the best angle of attack. Charles says ibuprofen.
Yeah.
I haven't bowled 5 leagues in 5 years.
No, I used to bowl Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays.
I got your email, Richard. I replied to it. So, I replied to it last night. But it's beefandbarnzy@gmail.com. Nick. So here's one of my friends. Nick's a piece of work. Stu, I'm blessed to bowl with you weekly, and it feels like a prime every week. By a prime every week, he means that he puts $35 in the side action every week, and I take it from him. You are always open to providing positive feedback on how to improve my game. Can you recap league on Tuesday?
He did pay. You have to answer this.
By positive feedback, he means me yelling at him from 4 lanes away. What the fuck was that? And get a spare ball, you clown, as he hooks at another spare and misses it. Those are the sorts of positive feedback that I tend to give him. But we bowl in the summer, we bowl a sport league, and we actually do a little bit of a unique thing. We bowl 4 games, which isn't that unique, but we have like position round every week. And we kind of went to that format because the league has quite a diverse skill set across the league. There's some, and it's, of course, with a pattern league, it's very difficult for it not to be scratch because you bowl on a different pattern every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So how do you do handicap based on bowling on short one week and long the next week? It's right. Kind of, so whatever. So we kind of did this so that after a few weeks, you kind of bowl against more teams that are kind of similar to your level. So it's a little more competitive, so to speak. Well, we've been bowling a little bit against Nick's been one of the teams that we've been beating. We try to I try to get through the first game, get some points on the board, and then maybe gently persuade them that how they're bowling the lane probably isn't conducive to their best attempts to score. Nick's, like I say, Nick's a pretty good bowler, but he likes to play the fool a little bit rather than focusing on what he's doing. His son is an up-and-coming player, Jacob. He won some money at your Thanksgiving event.
He played really well.
Yeah, he likes to give his dad a hard time. So a couple of weeks ago, Nick bowled 290, and there was a kid in the bowling center who came up and asked him for an autograph. And Nick thought that I'd sent that kid over. So Nick told him to get out of here. And I was like, I had no idea what he was talking about. So Nick told some kid who asked him for an autograph because he bowled 290 to get out of here. Because he thought he was being punked. So anyway, Jacob.
Talk about your ungrateful stars.
Yeah, so wow. Jacob comes down, his son, and says, I'm setting the over-under at 165. Who wants any? After he bowled 290. And Nick bowled 163 with a double. So yeah, Jacob likes giving Nick a hard time, but when they went to the regional a few weeks ago, I'm going to give Nick a shout out before we move on. This is way more time to spend on Nick than we needed to, but at the regional down in San Antonio, Nick made the cut and Jacob missed the cut by a fairly large margin.
Yeah.
And so Jacob was like, well, good luck tomorrow. And Nick's like, what do you mean? You're coming with me. I made it. You didn't. You're coming. So he dragged him out of bed to drag him down to San Antonio. Yeah, fun times. So yeah. I think another one would be Walter Ray uses a spare ball. Why do you think you're special?
Yeah.
Like Walter Ray's pretty good with that old spare ball.
Yeah.
And he's always had one. And he doesn't really need one. Like he could make it go arrow straight. Yeah, still brings one. Pete Webb is pretty good at sparing as well. He uses one too.
So is Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belmo, Simo. In fact, everybody on the planet Earth except Norm Duke.
Let's face it, everyone who doesn't use one at this point that was a good spare shooter is 60 years old now. So,
I mean, to me, Prather's a pretty decent spare shooter. He doesn't use one.
There's a few guys that use urethane.
Yeah, but they're pretty.
And they all basically, Frankie, they clip the holes.
Yeah, Frankie uses a urethane, but he uses a dedicated urethane.
Yeah, it's not a 360 grit one like some people are.
No,
not really talking directly at you, Dan, but Troy Lent. But
well, I hope you've got Norm's skill set because virtually nobody on Earth has Norm's skill set. I've yet to see anybody except Norm and Oscu who don't benefit from having a spare ball. When Oscu put his thumb in it, didn't matter whether he used the spare ball or not. Wasn't moving.
Two hops to the pin tends to minimize how much it hooked.
Yeah. Jeremy, from my side, a new phase 2 is going to be the go-to. I think the Summit is quite a bit stronger, a lot smoother. I don't think it's as versatile as the phase 2. I don't particularly like that phrase benchmark, but using it in the way that people use it, the phase 2 can be a benchmark in that you can use it all the time pretty much. The Summit for me is a little strong to fit into that category. The reason why I don't like benchmark is because basically any ball can be a benchmark. Because it's the one that you decide what you're going to move to from.
Yeah.
Like I use the absolute, but in the term that in the kind of in the way that people use that phrase, phase 2, exponent, they're the kind of balls that fit that. Glad it worked out for you, Richard. No problem. Oh, Jesus. Nick just texted me and said it was the best $9.99 he's ever spent.
Are there brackets at PBA Tour Stops? Regionals do have, some regions do have brackets. The Southwest does not. They'd run a high game pot. That's it. That's pretty much it. But there's a few. The National Tour, no. Nope.
EJ would have done quite well if we'd have run brackets this year.
I don't think I'd be getting in a lot of them. There's a standings every week that kind of proves who's better. So,
yeah, I think the way it would have been was, are EJ and Simo in any? Yes, I don't need it.
I'm out. Yeah. Unless we're at Wauwatosa, and then is Packy in any?
Yeah. Oh no. Is Packy going to use his urethane at Wauwatosa? Because if he wants to use his reactive, I'll take as many as he wants.
I'm in. But
because I watched him bowl the LBC with his reactive. I'll take any smoke he's got on that one.
Not quite the same.
Well, it's not that Packy isn't successful with reactive balls. I've seen him use them plenty of times.
Yeah.
But in Wauwatosa, it wasn't the deal. And his urethane seemingly on every pattern has been the deal.
His skills, yeah. I mean, he's probably one of the best equipped to make the transition if no urethane was in play. He didn't have one for his first 3 or 4 years on tour.
He also didn't make that many cuts his first 3 or 4 years on tour.
He didn't do as it wasn't as successful. True. Is Reality Pie replacing Eternity Pie? No, I don't think so. It's early, but I don't see that happening that way. I think it's complementary.
EJ would have doubled his earnings maybe for the first couple of weeks. After that, nobody was getting in. Him and Simo can't make brackets between them.
Those two just have side 5 and 10s. It'd be about it. So.
Hey, they might be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
We're just not invited. They're just like they play $100 a game all the way across. We just don't know because we're not
keeping it fair.
What advice would you give someone starting out on the regional tour? Always go to the practice session. Sometimes maybe finish a little bit or maybe use the practice session, like focus in, get sorted on what you think you should do, and then maybe in the middle of the practice spend like 10 minutes having a little walk around, look at what some of the notable players in the region are doing. So like in our region, for example, maybe look at what the Laverys are doing, Frankie, myself, and Chris, like see how they're playing the lanes. Like, and then
college kids.
Yeah. If they're doing it significantly different from you, and there's and there's like a common theme that they're all playing one, like for example, if we're all bowling second arrow and you're bowling fourth arrow, maybe go back and try second arrow to see if you can see what we're seeing. They would be the first few tips I would use.
Urethane.
Yeah.
Or if you're playing to the right and everybody's using shiny balls or whatever, playing way left or dull balls, whatever, just make sure you have a look from a similar place in the lane where some of those guys are, just to see if you're missing anything that fits in your skill set.
Yeah. And then the one other thing is try to gather as much information as you can from the pattern, and write it down. Write down which balls you used, what you changed to. And then you can look back on your season and you can see, if you made a change from one ball to another and you bowled a really good game or a really bad game, make a note of that. Like give yourself those, like quicken your learning curve up, so to speak, so that you can compare and like, hey, I seem to bowl a really bad game 4 every week.
Yeah.
So that was a good question. Thanks.
No, Adam, I don't think you have to worry about this. I mean, we have no indication that's coming. So, I mean, anytime a ball is 3, 4, starting to get 3 years old, I guess it's possible. But at this point, we still see plenty of them on the rack. So I think it's still doing fine.
Yeah, I see the Zen way less often than I see the Reality.
Yeah, if there was one that might be in trouble, the new Zen Gold may come closer to filling a gap like that.
Chris, any plans on return to Singapore? I was in your clinic back in 2018.
I think it was further back than that. I think it was with Kenneth Chua, so it might have been 2013. But and that was with a different distributor. So I'm not sure if I would love to come back. We had a fantastic setup. The hardest house shot I've ever seen put out at Singapore Country Club there. I don't know if it was Singapore Country Club, but it was a country club there. And the lane man was also the greenskeeper. And the goal was the same, to get them perfectly level. We're watching these people bowl in the house shot. And I'm like, these look kind of hard. And you're like, what house shot do you put out? And it's just 1-to-1. He just boils the lane like he mows a green. There's flat, and if you, I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
yeah. Why?
Wow. All right. The boys that get put on that condition, they're ready. They were good to go.
I was about to say, I bet he doesn't get many Christmas cards.
Maybe on the greens, but not on the lanes.
Oh, real quick question in the chat. What's the most that your league lineage has ever gone up in one go?
We had a league meeting this week.
Yeah, we did too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What did it go up?
$1.50.
50 cents a game.
50 cents a game. It's a little rough.
That's a pretty good hike.
Especially considering the bowling center shutting down at the end of the season.
Oh, that's Highland on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just sucking a little bit of money out before you go, huh?
Seems that way. I was like, that's a little rough.
I guess you're trying to lose a league. That's one way to go about it. You got to be pretty sure you don't have another place to go, which you don't have a lot of bowling centers in Austin right now.
Well, I think it was part of. Yeah, they went up 120. I mean, that's a lot. 40 cents a game is a lot.
There's a lot of 10s and occasionally even a quarter, but
yeah.
Interesting. Did you get any
Woo! $1 a game. Damn.
And 17 a night.
It's more than that in Plano.
Really?
It's set. I think Plano is 17 and change.
Wow.
So was that $2.50 to $3.50 per game? Or they went up from $2.50 for 3 games to $3.50 for 3 games? I'm just asking.
Marcus, you're obviously a New Mexico Open guy. You ask every time if we're going. We say every time we're not. We've already said many times, I like Steve Mackey. I like Mike Miller. I think they do a great job. They've grown that tournament into something pretty big. But going from the 2-game matches to 1-game matches is it's kind of a deal breaker for people.
I've just, the matches is the problem for me. I bowled it when it was a real tournament, like a real format. Like they do great. I'll go every few years. I can't do every year. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's an equalizer format, and it's just
I'm actually in the odd scenario. If I was to go, I'd rather they made them a little softer if we're going to bowl that format. Because I think that when they're that difficult, luck plays so much of a higher thing than if they were a little softer. If they were a little softer with that format, then there wouldn't be as much luck involved at all. Some people are misunderstanding what I was talking about. I was talking about just purely the lineage. So when it said we went up $2 once, yeah. But that's probably because you had a lineage increase of a certain amount, and then you just...
Yeah, they bridged the gap with a prize fund to make it even number. You're not paying $16.50 a night, you're paying $17.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that New Mexico Open tournament's really cool. I mean, it's always a tough bridge because when you start getting a lot of money into it, then you start bringing a lot of higher end players, which then makes you lose a lot of your local entries. And so it's a tough balance. There's no doubt. And they've managed it pretty well because the entries are full. They're doing the right things that are right for their bowlers.
I mean, I personally...
As a local tournament, 100%, if I was close by, we'd go.
Yeah.
But to drive 12 hours or fly to it is tough when it's the lanes are very challenging. And the format is, I think it's 2-game matches and then it's one once you get in the losers bracket. I believe it is now. I'm not going, but if you have another tournament to bowl, that's pretty good. It's just
It's just
it's a tough format to fly a long ways to.
yeah. I personally have never seen a tournament. Like, I've never heard of a bowler who's not one of the people who had a chance to be a winner ever complain about the finals format. I've heard tournament organizers tell me it makes a difference, but I've literally never experienced a person say, "Oh, I'm not bowling this tournament because the finals format's too difficult." I've literally never heard that. I've heard plenty of people in my case say, "I'm not going because that finals format's like a bit of a circus." You know what I mean? I've heard that plenty of times, but I've never heard the guy who's the marginal guy for making the cut say, "I'd bowl this if you had a different finals format." Like, obviously they think there's somebody is, but I've never met that person.
I think time probably has something to do with the 2-ball versus or 2-game versus 1 game, just fitting it all in. But
Doing a spare ball tournament tomorrow, only 5 mils of oil on the lane. How far left do you think I need to be? I think if you get left, you won't be able to get it to the right.
and it probably won't hit because it's a spare ball. So that's why people played to the right, played firmer, played straighter. You're not going to create down lane shape no matter what you do. So, for the most part.
Yeah,
I think he's doing that to prepare too. So, I think that's a good ball for him to work on his touch. And so, I don't think Packy practices with urethane a ton. I think he practices with a lot of other balls to help, because I think he works hard on increasing his skill set and to keep trying to get better. That's been his MO all the way through. He showed up to Wichita, didn't make varsity until his junior year, maybe his senior year. He's been a grinder. He's worked from a marginally talented guy to a tour champion, over a 7-8 year thing. And it's not because he's just hanging around doing the same things over and over. He's working on different things all the time.
Yeah. To any bowlers, Southwest changed from $75 for an extra bag to $125 in the middle of the month. So I forget which bowler it was now. Somebody one of the ladies was writing about it. She got the airport at 4 a.m. to check in, and they said 125. And she was like, "What do you want about? It's 75. No, it changed this morning. It's 4 a.m. on the 15th. Like, what? Like, I booked this flight months ago. How'd you change the baggage fees like now? Middle of the month.
That's a legit argument.
Go watch the skill ball challenge. Yeah, if you want to watch it, watch the juniors because they actually shot 200, unlike the pros.
That did not look like much fun. They looked hard.
The juniors average plenty.
Yeah, they played them a little straighter too, I guess, huh?
So. I think they used a little more polish as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Richard. We bowl in Shawnee a lot. They have a lot of good regionals in that area. Chris Skillings is a great host and supporter of the PBA and PBA regional both. So
we're bowling there the first weekend of December. Okay, we got a good super chat here. Jack and Tom, thank you very much. $20. Bam. Chris, are you on old HPL this week? Is the Exponent getting any play for you again? I asked because my home center is changing service and need to figure out how the weaker balls like Exponent, Ruby, M&M might perform.
Ironically, they just changed to SPL 2 weeks ago. And it hooks as much as the HPL did. It just isn't beat up in the track like the HPL was. It hooks across the lane. So it's relatively flat. I expect the Exponent. They got some play at the end of A squad. It was in play, or B squad. I'm sorry, at the end of B squad. I expect it to be in play tonight. It'd probably be one of the strongest balls I'll be able to use tonight on C squad. Exponent, Dynamics, and my trusty IQ Emerald are kind of all in play. Of course, I'm going to try and throw the Reality and Gem that I've thrown so far to give it a look, but I'm not overly optimistic that I can get him to save enough energy. So,
yeah. I also think that on short patterns, balls like the Exponent and the IQ Tour are they're a little bit no man's land. Generally, you want to use asymmetrical balls because they get forward and tumble down the lane. And then when they're no good, you tend to go to, in my game anyway, I tend to go to something quicker that I make my angle way bigger with. So I don't end up using the Exponent that much in that gap. You're saying how your weaker balls will respond. You've also got to take into consideration how the center is going to respond, because this is going to be interesting at Plano also. Plano are changing their lanes and they have a shitload of friction in the track there. And their house shot is obviously based on there being a shitload of friction in the track there. Well, if it's not there, then it's going to be significantly different.
Right.
You might be able to get the ball a little further right because it won't burn up getting there in quite the same way. And
if I was putting a new surf cell like Plano, I would move my house shot out way closer to first arrow just to make my lanes last longer.
You're taking
into bullets a little bit to actually play it, but
yeah, I was about to say. But half the reason why they're able to charge 17 and a quarter or whatever it is for the 3 games is because everybody goes there knowing they're going to have a good time and they're going to strike a lot.
They have their best score at Plano.
And a lot of people don't like necessarily moving their feet to have their best score. I ball here and I strike. So, real quick, breaking news. Tom Hess is struggling a little bit this morning. 236 to start, and then he's followed up by 150, 170, 140.
Whoa.
Yeah. He is, by average, he is like right on the cusp of missing the top 24 by average. But in fairness to him, there's about 4 people who are actually bowling well today. Rolando Salaban is still bowling good, but like there's a lot of guys who are really struggling today. So I don't know what's happened with the lanes, but I'm feeling like your block tonight is going to be even more pointless than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I actually just pulled it up to see. He's bowling 10th frame. He's bowling a good game this game.
Okay.
Well, as I say that, never mind. He has a bunch of strikes. He also has 3 splits. So he's not bowling a good game this game. He's got a strikeout for 209. He has nothing but strikes and red.
Yeah.
Strike 7-1, 7-2, 4-bagger, 7-2, strike.
I mean,
and
this is, I'm telling you, Chris, this is so.
He stones 8 the first one in the 10th. And
So
he's playing 12. He's not, his angles probably aren't steep enough.
Well,
and everybody I've seen get in trouble this week has gotten in trouble the same way. Their break point is in between 5 and 8. And if you get it to 5, it hooks, it picks up. And if you get it to 8, it never picks up. And so.
Okay. So just to give people an idea of how crazy it is right now, there's a guy called Danny Battles. He's in 18th place. He's a non-member.
Yeah. He's it's one of Don's friends, or Dan's friends.
185 over, 18th place. Now, he is
a rough start.
No, it's beyond a rough start.
Oh, I just saw the first game before I came on.
Well, he is now 35 under after 4.
Oh, God.
119, 163, 165, 134. So something odd has happened this morning.
It appears there's, yeah.
Like
the combination is not, it's a short pattern, and the gutter 1 through 3 hooks. Now, if you throw shiny balls at it, it can go in the gutter.
I get it, but in your squad, there was multiple people who bowled okay.
Yeah,
like there's literally one person bowling okay.
It's not hard to figure out what the combination is, especially day 3. There's a commonality among people that are bowling good. So it's not, you shouldn't be getting fooled if they are the same, which you'd almost have to guess by this. They are not particularly the same. So, oof. There was a question. Oh, Adam showed up in Sterling last week. It was good to see him. He was and I did drill a reality. Actually, Stu ball up me a little bit. We drilled a shiny reality, and I used that to make the backdoor the step ladder last week on a week where I made some more. It wasn't my best execution week. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't really necessarily. We just talked through some options. Really, I didn't really make any suggestions. We just kind of talked through some options, and you went off and did Chris Barnes things.
I don't know. Well, yeah. Help comes in a lot of different fashions. It doesn't have to always be the direct idea to be the reason why the idea came about. So,
yeah,
it's one of the best things about we see the lanes similarly, but play them differently, and how we try to attack that. And sometimes we get stuck in our own circle, and I needed a different circle. Huh. Well, sometimes you get what you get. So.
Fuck two-handers. Nice bowling in Peru, though, after the first day there, Junior.
Yeah, it was a cool day. It was a cool week to watch him bowl, get to bowl with the national team and all that. Had some interesting things happen yesterday. They lost a couple of balls underground.
And they haven't come back.
They finally found them afterwards. They were a little unsure what to do, really. John contemplated stopping the whole squad until they got in and found them. And after the fact, kind of wished he did. And I said, I actually felt sorry for him because in 30 years, I've never bowled a tournament where that happened. Said there's no precedent of, oh yeah, when that happens, we do this. I was like, I don't know, because it could be anywhere. Once it jumps the track, it hits one of the studs sitting down there and goes sideways off of it. It might just roll until, I guess in theory you still have the ball tracks in the middle, so it's probably relatively, but you could pull 40 feet of capping to try and chase it down.
Yeah. And
he lost a thumb out of it, which is hard to do with an IT thumb and no accelerator belt because it's AMF. So it's just gravity fed. They did find the thumb. They brought it to the front, didn't tell him, which didn't go swimmingly well. And he had a miserable block after that.
Who was that?
That was Burkett, actually, was one of them. And so bowled really good on day one, struggled a lot yesterday on the fresh as well. So,
well, it seems like, is he on your squad?
He's on my squad.
Well, it seems like he might have a chance because the scores aren't going up. I can tell you.
No, I think C squad's going to take the beating this week. I think
well, it definitely is now because they're getting like slaughtered. I mean, Dave Johnson, another guy, 180, 150, 180, 180.
No, I take that back. C squad actually was doing pretty well coming into this. A squad was the one that got pummeled. I mean, they did not have a good night block either, and then Pete withdrew, so you took out one of the big names.
Yeah.
And
this is totally wild though, watching this. Like,
yeah, it's a mess. Just looking down some of the scores, there's just not very many. There's not very many strings at all. No. And there are a lot of local entries, but sheesh. So,
I mean, there's like, there's a couple of people who are like 60 or 80 over, but like, like I say, there's three guys I see who are bowling well, and then, I mean, Amleto's, like I say, he's gone 230, 160, 240, 150.
Yeah, he's kind of doing the same thing. He's playing like 15, but he's only going to like 7, 8. And it's kind of no man's land. Carry down wise, if somebody threw urethane, that pair is super tight in that spot. And
I will
10 all the time.
I was about to say, I will use a quote that you used to me to finish the show. I don't know what happened in your block that made you think that that's a good idea. And that, I think, is the answer that you need to find out from some of these guys. Because if they're all doing it, I would propose that the outside part of the lane isn't being very forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, it is on Bowl TV for those who are asking right now. So, yeah. And I don't know. All I'm doing is use enough surface to make sure it picks up before it gets to that spot. So even if you do miss in, it's already going uphill.
I was about to say, all I'm doing is cursing the fact that this isn't randomly the major week.
Oh my God. Can we just please have things carry over?
Can I just get my second place for sure?
Everybody that's close is now averaging 198. So.
Yeah, because Parker's still 170 behind you, and he's got 4 games left. So, I'm not sure.
He's even.
Lenny's 201.
Yeah, he's on my squad.
Yeah, on your squad, he's 200 behind you. So yeah. All right. Well, we've had a good time. Thanks for watching. Cheer Chris on coming up over the next couple of days. I'm off to Dallas. I'm bowling with Maria on Saturday night. It's 7:00, so I'm sure she'll be happy by then.
I'm pretty sure as things work out, I'm on the B squad, which then B squad, of course, bowls in the morning next Tuesday. Because that's how it works.
Well, I might try and get Maria to come on next Tuesday to celebrate.
But Thursday I'm off. And then the TOC, I think, is going to be one squad, and I think we're going to start at 10 a.m. So that's not going to work. But
yeah, we'll make it.
We're kind of done before we head off overseas and head everywhere else then for a month. So
Adam's kind, but Troy.
Adam's kind, but you don't watch the stats. Player of the year is already a wrap. It's point based, and Troy Lint is so far ahead right now that he has to not bowl, and I have to win maybe all 3.
Yeah,
I'd have to win all 3. Technically, I have a small chance, but I do have to win all 3 to have a chance.
You're basically 11,000 points behind, and you've only got 16,000 points.
Yeah, and 17,500 is all that's left.
Yeah.
So 5,000, 5,000, and 7,500. So like he has to not show up somewhere, and he's again is in the running. He's just been a really good bowler. After that jail stint, he's become very dedicated to. I'm just kidding. So yeah, he's been really good. He's doing some stuff with his knees, and he's getting better as the year goes on, which is hard to do when you miss no finals ever, including step ladders. But and he understands the lane. He understands how to make it pick up and how to take advantage. And there's always hook, and it's on both sides. So,
yeah.
But I appreciate your faith, Adam. Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. I love you guys.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the guys who came in with super chats. That was great. We will see you next week. I will try and get Maria on. She's somewhat reluctant. I might just bring her around to the house and she can sit right there.
Yeah. Well, on our show, you don't get fined. So,
Yeah. Did you see her celebration?
Yeah.
She's the people's champ.
She is the people's champ. And Linda went, "Oh gosh, Maria."
It's just the most Maria thing ever.
It's real. It's as authentic as it gets.
Yeah.
She's real.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, join Tuesday. You'll probably get to see Maria, which will upgrade the aesthetics considerably of this show. But between now and then, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Roto-Grip, 900 Global, Cool Wick, Bowlers Mark, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Forward. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later, guys. Thanks for tuning in.